Happening today in Washington, President Joe Biden is expected to fight back against the Supreme Court's recent overturning of Roe v. Wade and sign an executive order to protect abortion access. This comes as President Biden faces pressure from Democrats to be more forceful on the issue. Rakeclark joins us live with more. Good morning, Dre.
Mitch, good morning. Some Democrats have been very critical of President Biden, saying that he's been too quiet and too soft in his reaction to the Supreme Court's reversal of Roe v. Wade 2 weeks ago. The president maintains his scope is limited without direct congressional involvement and support. But today will be the first major step he's taken since the Supreme Court's decision 2 weeks ago. Now, we learned last week that the president urged the Department of Homeland, or I should say Health and Human Services, to do everything it can to ensure a woman's right to good reproductive health care services. Later today, Mr. Biden will formally, in writing through an executive order, instruct both the Justice Department and the Department of Health and Human Services to push back against any efforts to stop women from receiving federally approved abortion medication, and also to make sure that any woman who's living in a state where abortion is now illegal can have safe passage into other states where the procedure is still allowed. Now, it was on June 24th in a 6-3 vote that the Supreme Court reversed Roe v. Wade, reversing a landmark decision that was made in 1973. Mr. Biden's executive order will also work to educate medical providers and insurers about how and when to share patient information with any authorities. He will also be asking the Federal Trade Commission to take steps to protect the privacy of those people or women who will be seeking information on reproductive health care online. So this is the first step that President Biden will take. Again, as you said a moment ago, Mitch, Democrats have been very vocal and critical of the president, and they're hoping this will be the beginning of many decisions he will make in the way of making sure to support women who would like to have an abortion. Mitch.
All right, Rakeclark, thank you very much for your time this morning. We are going to follow up on Dre's report there with Alex Cangitano from the Hill. She joins us now. This is 2 weeks after the Supreme Court made the Dobbs decision and overruled Roe versus Wade. Why wait 2 weeks to do something about this?
Right, and this 2 weeks was a very obvious amount of time. You know, the president was truly under pressure from Democrats and activists calling for him to do something or come out with some sort of an executive order. Of course, it was a full 2 weeks, but before that, this draft opinion had already been leaked. And so the White House had all that time also to prepare for this. So it's interesting that this is coming out now. I mean, the White House has for the last 2 weeks been saying that they're looking at what steps they can take. They're checking with legal teams on what steps they can take, and then punted a lot to Congress and said the best thing to do here is codify Roe, and we're calling on Congress to do that.
Now, right after the decision came out, Javier Becerra, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, said there's not much we can do. He was very dismayed by the decision, but he said we're going to try to do something. Now, 2 weeks later, they've done this executive order, but I'm kind of curious, is this just because of pressure? Is this going to do anything, or is President Biden making an announcement of something that isn't going to help very much just to say, well, I did something?
You know, that's a good question because, of course, as I mentioned, you know, the president has been really stressing that Congress can do something. If we elect more pro-choice Democrats, pro-choice officials, Roe can be codified, and that's really what needs to happen here. But the White House has been saying that they will take a look at abortion pills and medication that has been FDA approved. And that is largely what this executive action is looking at, and kind of to ensure the safety of these federally approved medication and ensure the access of that. And so that's something that they have alluded to in the past. But besides that, there is a lot of them saying, you know, our hands could be tied here. We're not quite sure. And then under this pressure, finally coming out with something that they can do.
And is abortion rights, are they still going to be a huge motivating factor, rather, for the Democratic voters out there? Does this last all the way until November?
Definitely. I think this is a domestic issue that is going to be top of mind for a lot of voters. I think women, independents, people that, of course, have other domestic issues on top of mind, of course, inflation, gun control. And then this is something that a lot of women in America have never lived in a world without Roe v. Wade. And so women will be voting on this. And I think coming out of the energy coming out of the White House today, just some sort of news out of the White House, I think will help some Democratic, the base, get a little bit more energized and hopeful here that there could be changes coming after the midterms.
That's Alex Gangitano joining us from the Hill this morning. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.